So let's talk a little bit more about Merlin. I know that in all of your series, the three big ones, Avalon and Lost Years of Merlin, and the new Merlin's Dragon, which we have, book 2 coming out this fall, which is very exciting.
Yeah.
We see Merlin at different age ranges throughout his life. So why Merlin?
Let me take you back to a tree outside of Oxford, England, where I first encountered Merlin, okay? That's the best way to start, is I lived on a farm during the years that I was at Oxford after college, and it was a great deal because for helping a little bit with the cows and the rest, I got the best fresh Jersey cream you could ever imagine. Cereal has never tasted so good. But the most important thing that happened to me that year was my favorite place to sit and read was up under a big sprawling English oak tree on the highest hill of the farm, great view of Oxford, that was the place where I read The Once and Future King by T.H. White, which it is, and it's the first really modern retelling of the Camelot tale. Right. And when I read that, I absolutely fell in love with Merlin as a character. He was by far the most interesting character to me of all of them. And of course, I had no clue that 20 years later I'd get to add a thread or two of my own to the whole tapestry of myth about this wonderful character. Now vault forward that 20 years, and I've had the fun of having a first novel that had a great reception, got rejected by more than 30 different publishers. So I got a different job, but I was still eager to write. Okay, so I switched careers, had the urge to try again, and this time I got to do what I really loved, and then I realized a couple of years into it that character Merlin had a gorgeous tapestry of myth, right? But there was a hole in it, a huge, big, gaping hole, and that was about his youth. So that was about when he was just a boy, 12, 13, 14, 15 years old. What happened in those years? What made it possible for him to become this great exalted wizard that we all love and have sung songs and told stories about for all these centuries? And also, by the way, why have we never heard that story? Was there something so secret, so terrible, so important that he kept it bottled up for centuries and centuries, and finally only now, in the lost years of Merlin, is he telling us this story. Now, and now, when I have a question like that's making me lean forward wanting to hear the answer, I know there's a story, and that was the beginning. It was just wanting to know how this incredible, wonderful, wise character came about, but backing him down to being a vulnerable boy. So that's why he begins as far away from a wizard as possible. He starts by literally just this half-drowned waif who washes ashore. Right. So he couldn't be any lower on the totem pole of humanity. He's not only so weak he can barely even sit up and open his eyes when he comes to on that shore and the seagulls are screeching and all that. He also has no idea who he is. He's lost all of his memory, so he has no clue about his own identity. And of course, he has no clue that he has down inside this amazing magic. And that's, of course, the metaphor that's underneath the Merlin stories, and Merlin's Dragon, and the Great Tree of Avalon, and I should say any of my hero journeys books, Kate, everyone I've written about, always has to discover this inner magic before they can do something special on the outside.
Become a true hero.
Exactly. So back to Merlin, there's really, when I've thought about it, Kim, over the years, and seen these wonderful stories come back to me in the way, that when I write a story, I feel like I'm building a boat. Right. I know it sounds crazy when you're in the middle of the Rocky Mountains to be building a boat, but I feel like my job up there in the attic is to polish the hull and outfit the sails and get it really seaworthy, and then put it on the water that all of us who love stories share, and then watch that little boat sail away. And only rarely and in unpredictable ways do I find out what shores that boat might just touch. And when I do, it's just a wonderful thing. And now I'm getting letters from literally kids in 12 different languages are writing me about
great.
the Merlin books, and it's just and I know it's not about me, and it's not about Merlin even. It's about the power of stories to just touch people. But Merlin in particular has two things going for him that no other character I know really has to this degree. And the first is that he always has stood for building bridges between all kinds of people. If you go way, way back to the earliest legends of King Arthur and Merlin, the Welsh Mabinogi, and those kind of books, you find a wizard who was the one person in all of the characters who could talk to everyone. He was a druid master who was helping a young Christian king, two parties that had been at war for centuries, build a new society based on justice and hope and fairness. He was the one person who could talk to both the Archbishop of Canterbury and also that ancient gray wolf up on the hillside. So he's a bridge builder, and I think that's never been more important than now in the 21st century. So that's one Merlin virtue that really I think stands out. The other one, and this is special resonance for me, is that he's a nature person. He gets his greatest life lessons, his greatest inspiration, and his deepest healing when he's wounded and injured from nature.
Right.
It's when he runs with the deer that he learns about love and the power of love. It's when he swims in the sea with the fish and the porpoises that's when he learns about power and the way that power connects everyone. It's when he flies like an eagle that he discovers that the world has no boundaries and no limits except those we impose on it. It's through nature, surviving a storm or climbing a mountain. Those are the times where he has a great adventure, but he also learns something important about life. So I've always loved that.